Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is I'm watching American Horror Stories, Season 2, Episode 1.
Dollhouse.
The Dollhouse.
Just Dollhouse.
That was great. That was great.
Sure.
I don't know where to start. Our relationship with the show is backhanded. Mm-hmm. So, I mean...
I love it. I have
it was
so much
fun. So I was really impressed for the first act.
Sure.
I was like, oh, Kristen Forsyth is really engaging.
Yeah. She was from The Society.
I thought she was familiar.
Yeah.
And then in case you didn't watch The Society on Netflix, watch it. But also, they canceled it on a cliffhanger, a big cliffhanger.
A humongous cliffhanger.
But it was one of my favorite. I think it was like my number 2 show of 2018 or whatever. Yeah. So she was great in this. We are in incredibly capable hands with Dennis O'Hare.
Oh, yeah. Always.
The plot is, if you're new, we do recap review things. Mm-hmm. So we just sort of talk about what we thought. The plot is that Kobe is interviewing for a job as a secretary at this,
toy company.
At this, old-fashioned, old-timey toy company. And she's so impressive that Mr. Van Wert kidnaps her and enters her into a already underway...
Yeah, already in progress.
...pageant.
Yeah, 3 events have already taken place.
Where they are he's trying to find the new perfect wife/mother. Well, wife for him, I suppose. Mother for the child.
Otis. I don't want to say the middle name because it's a little bit of a spoiler, but Otis Van Wert is quite a name to saddle a child with.
It did a couple things that I was confused by, and that can go either way. I think some people would be really thrown, but part of me was like, so is this happening in the dollhouse?
Well, okay, the beginning and the end made it seem like yes, but then the thing right before the end made it seem like no, this is IRL.
It wasn't quite
or like in show real life.
Yeah, it wasn't quite as infuriating as the plot holes in the finale of season 1, the video game one, where I'm like, what is the truth? What is real and what is not? I need hard lines drawn.
Just as an FYI, I think that's one of our funniest episodes. Go back and watch it. It's great. So
she's in this. This is. In many ways, top American Horror Story. The production design, it's flamboyant.
She really suits the 30s. Christine Forsyth.
Well, it was 60s.
Was it 60s?
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
I guess. 67, I think.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
Well, it was a free-for-all because the house was Victorian, Edwardian.
Yeah. Also, that factory was I maintain 30s is but I maintain that it's it was allowed.
It was out of date in world.
Sure, yes.
Because he has that conversation on the phone. They said Barbie, and I was like, oh, we're doing this.
Yeah, oh, you're right. Yeah, so 60s, yeah.
So, and I can't decide, because I'm at the place where I didn't need the punctuation mark on the end. Okay. I don't know how to...
So his middle name is Spalding.
No, I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
So she's in this weird competition with these kind of archetypes. Well, really, Aurelio was terrible. The rest of them were just sort of fine. Yeah. It's only an hour long, so we really didn't get a sense.
Which I think was our biggest issue with season 1 as well, is that a couple of them were really well executed, but a couple of them I was like, this could have fueled an entire season if you just knew what to do.
Or a 90-minute, a proper...
Sure, an actual,
feature
one-off kind of
length.
thing.
And so that is the one place is... This was more where this was scary was the implications of it.
Sure.
Not the actual horror violent part. And I couldn't fully understand. He's throwing people in this well where they're succumbing to the elements. And that's kind of where I think I would have preferred if it were this amorphous or ambiguous dollhouse where they were going into some void.
Sure. Because while we were watching it, I was like, oh, I sort of get it. This is not as generally well regarded, but American Horror Story in general is kind of like our Twilight Zone.
It was very Twilight Zone.
Yeah. And so this was a lot like that one where there's all the different archetypes in like a circular room. And
or the toy box, maybe? It's like a soldier and a ballerina, and
But I thought it was like a garbage can or something.
Maybe. I don't quite...
Regardless, it was giving
the reveal is their toys.
Exactly. It was giving me that, and I was sort of like, I wish it were more that and less this, like, megalomaniac who he doesn't appear to actually have that much money. Because Mattel exists and Barbie is like...
So that's sort of that's my criticism is the more they gave us, the further away from it I got.
Sure.
The more they grounded it, where I sort of wanted, because at first when we see the exterior of that strange house, I thought it was
really unsettling.
I thought it was like Wisteria Lane. So when she looked out the window, I wanted it to look overly artificial everywhere.
Sure.
And the fact that it seemingly is an actual house, like an actual manor in the middle of nowhere, I don't know. That was confusing. And again, like I said, because a handful of them, when they didn't pass their test, he would shock them and then supposedly put them in the well. Yeah. But then the third Fae, he just starts stabbing her a whole bunch. And so that was, I don't know, that
it was weird, and I don't know if I liked it better that the reason he's doing this is because he caught his wife cheating, or I would have liked it better if he had just been, like, bonkers.
The implication of violence...
this is obviously very bonkers, but, like, you know.
The implication of violence was scarier than the actual implementation of the violence.
Sure, and then there was, what was his name? Eustace or something? His, like, man?
Nothing really came of that.
It was just weird.
But... You know what's funny is when he was like, he can't talk, he doesn't have a tongue. I was like, that's weird, because Dennis O'Hare's character in American Horror Story Coven can't talk because he doesn't have a tongue. Huh.
Yeah, but also, so then getting to the end of this episode, that implies that at some point, Otis makes a mistake bad enough to get his tongue cut out.
It's covered in Coven.
Is it? Don't remember.
We watched Coven years ago in like one sitting. Okay. It's covered in.
Oh, okay.
I think he does it to himself. I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
He's in love with Jessica Lange. It's years.
Okay.
Years. Maybe we'll do it. Let us know if you want us to watch Coven. Because clearly, we don't remember.
I remember very little.
Because you watched Coven even before you watched Murder House.
Yes.
I just had the Blu-ray.
You liked it.
Yeah.
You liked Coven a lot. And then we went back and I still haven't seen
the moral
Freak Show. I think is the only one I haven't watched.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you didn't watch Cult, but you also refuse.
I watched like 4 episodes of Cult and I got like surface of the sun angry. Incandescent. That's the word I was looking for.
That sounds too radiant.
With rage. Incandescently angry.
I just think of the Family Guy bit where he makes himself out of stained glass.
Oh.
And the light shines and...
Oh my God.
Dad's beautiful.
I remember it.
I feel like the moral of the story is they should have made the Coven spinoff that they were planning on doing, because I like Coven. Mm-hmm. We loved Apocalypse. That's apparently a hot take, but I like the fantasy. There's a handful of times when American Horror Story has leaned into whimsy, into fantasy. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just, we say it all the time, but I think that's such an underutilized facet of horror. And we're getting to a place where we're getting it, but I don't know. So it's like, it was a fun sort of like all around nod that she was a witch. And I mean, I can't make up my mind. I think I liked it. It was a little bit of hat on a hat. And
sure, because the reason that we know that we find out she was a witch is because she basically, in order to ingratiate herself with Otis so that she will survive these like trials, she is basically using magic
but very light magic.
Very light magic. Like she's making a little fire engine toy scoot back and forth. And so...
And she opened the doorknob at the end of that spectacular hand doorknob.
That was a really cool, creepy doorknob.
It's that shit that keeps us coming back.
I have never once complained about the set design.
The production design.
Never. But that's the kind of stuff that I think is sort of interesting. And the like witches at the end are like, we would have been here sooner, but your spells were very small and we couldn't really sense you. I don't know. They're also traveling from only one state over. Like, give it a better shot than that.
Well, so for me, it just sort of, it was like, so like I said, I was very intrigued by Act 1. I enjoyed Act 2 and for the most part, Act 3.
Yeah.
But then it was just almost this sort of like breakneck.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, let's watch this entirely new, different thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, technically the groundwork was laid, but there's a point for me where she's going to go get Otis. Because they break out.
Yep.
And Aurelia and her... I was a little surprised Harleen died too.
Yeah.
There can only be one. Sure. But when she goes to get Otis, in my mind, I was sort of like, oh, maybe this is the test. Like, maybe this is the way she wins. Yeah. And that's an element, but that's not it. And so then when it's ending with her being... dollified, I was like, okay, so this is just Stepford Wives. I'm fine with that too.
Froseth isn't beautiful enough.
But it was sort of,
that was the hat on a hat for me, was like turning her into an actual doll.
Well, so they're like encasing her in that stuff, and I was like, this is terrible.
Like carbonite.
Yeah. And then it cuts to her like and I was like, oh, they shouldn't have showed us because it's just silly. Yeah. And then the witches come in, and not that I really think
like a hat on a hat on a hat.
Not that I really think that there's any reality where it was stunt casting. There was just something about those two day players. Yeah. No offense.
No.
The shoe women where I was like, you should be someone that we've already seen or that we already.
I mean, none of these ladies are getting younger. The ones that were in Coven, so it's
Lily Rabe has got to be
Lily Rabe, but
no, I don't know.
She wasn't alive in the 60s, so
sure. Okay. Oh, no. So now it doesn't make sense. So, but all in all, it was just so cool. Yet again, seeing the Robichaux's Academy and hearing that like refrain, and Christine Colby looked so pretty. I don't know. It cashed the check it wrote.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with it.
It is not a must-see TV.
No,
but
we can only dream of reaching the dizzying heights of the season 1 finale at some point in these next 8 episodes. I hope that we get something as nonsensically amazing as that. So,
all in all,
and then there was Baby Myrtle, little baby Myrtle, which was really cute.
I mean, I know why it's that way, and I know we needed it, but I love that she just like out of the womb
had that hair.
She's just been 53 from day one.
She's got the cat eye.
Yeah, it's like
I'm surprised she didn't have a cigarette.
I mean, when you gotta look, when you look into to a thing,
when you look into your whole vibe by the age of like 4, you really just go for it.
Just ride it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was fine. And that was great.
I'll be back next week.